All right, welcome to this explainer on agentic prompt design. If you've ever felt like the artificial intelligence tools you're using are just, missing the mark or delivering super shallow results, you are absolutely in the right place. Think about it. Expecting flawless AI output from a totally vague instruction is a lot like handing a total stranger your credit card, telling them to go buy groceries, and actually expecting them to come back with the exact ingredients for your grandmother's secret lasagna recipe. I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster, right? So today, we're diving into how to effectively architect autonomous intelligence. Now, I know that sounds highly technical, but it literally boils down to the structure of how we communicate. We're going to transform how you interact with AI. We're moving away from just casually typing generic questions into a prompt box, and we're moving toward actually designing intelligent, highly capable workflows.
So let's start with a really crucial question. Why do AI agents fail? I want you to think about the times you've gotten completely unusable AI outputs. You ask it to handle a complex task, and what you get back is messy, disorganized, or just totally off base. It's incredibly frustrating. It can kind of feel like the system just isn't smart enough to handle what you need it to do. But as we're going to explore today, that failure usually doesn't lie with the underlying intelligence of the agent itself. Actually, almost always, the breakdown happens at the very point of instruction.
And that brings us to the foundational truth we've really got to wrap our heads around. AI agents rely heavily on prompts. This is the core principle of literally everything we're looking at today. These tools are only as effective as the instructions they receive, period. If you give a vague or chaotic command, you are going to get a vague or chaotic result back every single time. So, you have to shift your mindset. You need to realize that when you're working with an AI agent, you aren't just having a casual chat with it. You are actively programming its immediate behavior and focus through the language you use.
Okay, let's jump right into part 1, designing your AI agent. Notice how just a simple system prompt completely sets the operational boundary for the agent. We aren't just asking a question to kick things off. We are formally assigning it a role. By explicitly stating, you are an autonomous research assistant, you instantly narrow the AI's vast, generalized knowledge base down to a very specific, laser-focused persona. You're establishing strict rules for its behavior right out of the gate. This system prompt is exactly what prevents the AI from wandering off topic, ensuring that its massive computational power is entirely locked onto your specific objective.
Let's flesh out that persona a bit more. As you can see, visually separating these concepts really highlights how giving the agent distinct responsibilities creates a focused research assistant rather than just a generic, helpful chatbot. We establish clear rules, search reliable sources, summarize findings, verify facts, cite references, and generate structured reports. By explicitly listing out these duties like a checklist, we're essentially architecting the boundaries of an autonomous workflow. We're not just crossing our fingers and hoping the AI decides to cite its sources. No, we are making it a foundational rule of its existence for the entire duration of this task.
All right, moving right along to part 2, the multi-step method. Okay, if you take away one thing from this explainer, make it this. Stop asking for everything at once. Seriously. We absolutely have to abandon the massive, single-step request if we want high-quality results. When you dump this enormous, multifaceted task onto an AI in a single breath, it tries to process and output the entire thing simultaneously. The result? Total cognitive overload for the system. Corners get cut, the logical flow gets totally muddy, and the final output ends up being incredibly shallow.
Just look at this side-by-side comparison. It brilliantly illustrates the common trap of a massive request versus the precision of a structured method. On one side, we have the bad approach. Write a complete business plan. Guys, that is asking for a mountain of deep, analytical work in literally 5 words. It is just a recipe for failure. But on the other side, we have the better approach, multi-step prompting. Instead of a single chaotic command, we methodically guide the AI. Trust me, the difference in the quality, the depth, and the actual usability of the output between these two approaches is absolutely staggering.
Let's follow this visual flowchart to see exactly what that better approach looks like in practice. By breaking the task down into these numbered, sequential steps, the agent can methodically process the information and deliver a far superior final product. Look at step 1, generate startup ideas. We start broad and we actually pause to evaluate the output. Then, step 2, create market analysis specifically for idea number 2. See what we did there? We're narrowing the focus based on the previous result. Then, and only then, we move to step 3, create financial projections based on that precise analysis. This sequenced step-by-step prompting acts as a guided logic map for the AI. It ensures absolute depth, accuracy, and coherence at every single stage of the process. So, based on everything we've covered in this explainer, I really want you to think about how you can rethink your very next instruction to truly harness the power of an autonomous agent. How are you going to structure your next multi-step prompt? Remember, you are the architect here. You hold the power to define the persona, to establish those strict responsibilities, and then to guide that intelligence step by step to absolute greatness. So stop asking for everything at once and start building those structured workflows. So, what complex, impossible-seeming task are you going to break down and automate today? Keep that strategy in mind, and I look forward to exploring our next topic with you.